powerful and deadly nor'easter hammering parts of New England at this very moment. Extreme winds knocked out power to hundreds of thousands across the region, and some areas saw up to 1.5 feet of snow in April here. The storm also brought flooding to coastal communities. Elaine Quijano has more on this big mess.
High winds, heavy snow, and flooding. The Northeast was the final target of a week-long storm with deadly results. In Derry, New Hampshire, a grandmother was killed and her 11-year-old granddaughter was injured in this house explosion. Relatives told CBS News Boston a tree fell onto a propane tank next to the home, causing the blast. The child is expected to survive.
I would ask that everybody keeps the family in their thoughts as we process this tragedy.
The intense nor'easter, with gusts up to 60 miles per hour, knocked out power to more than 500,000 customers across New England, including southern Maine, where a house in West Gardner was engulfed in flames. First responders there believe a generator was used in the garage where the fire started. In Massachusetts,
we heard like the crack, and then the whole house shook.
This tree came crashing down, crushing a car in Nicole Saltzman's driveway in North Reading. On the coast, strong winds and high tide drove seawater onshore. The nasty weather also inundated downtown Boston, making ordinary business anything but routine.
This is not what I was hoping for, visiting Boston for the first time.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Elaine Quijano in New York.
Professor John Wallace joins me now from UCLA's Samueli School of Engineering. So, John, we know events like this are pretty rare for the Northeast, but it does bring to mind our readiness, right, for natural disasters. Are we prepared for a major earthquake in New York, you think?
A lot more prepared than we were many years ago because building codes have changed to add a level of toughness to new construction that didn't exist in older buildings. But for older buildings, there could definitely be some damage in a larger earthquake.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask you about, just the buildings in New York, compared to buildings like Los Angeles, where you are, where I grew up for the most part of my life. I mean, New York skyscrapers, especially the old ones, are they built to handle a more major earthquake?
That's a good question. Now, this level of earthquake, they survive quite well because it's a little bit further away, and as noted, the magnitude is below 5, so it's not in the realm of really a damaging earthquake, particularly for tall buildings. Tall buildings in New York probably have a significant level of resistance to earthquakes just because of their height and the high degree of engineering that's been done associated with the design and construction. So I would think for most earthquakes, you're going to see it'd have to be a really, really rare and strong earthquake in New York to cause damage to taller buildings.
Got it. And one more question, if you don't mind. As you heard Aaron, the inspectors are actually combing through all the tunnels there in New York, the train lines. What exactly would they be looking for?
Probably mostly associated with cracks and leaks at joints, things that really minor damage that might over time lead to more damage, either due to corrosion or leakage and so forth, that might cause additional damage. So I think they're just being cautious at this point.
John, appreciate you zooming in with us.
All right, my pleasure.
Okay, well, we're happy to report Paul and everyone's all right here, but we're just going to pan back over to the home where you can see these two properties leaning against one another as well. City workers are here assessing what's going on. I also just want to point out that city officials arrived here to the scene and they tell us that Newark, all city buildings, including City Hall, recreation centers, are closed, that the city is currently inspecting buildings for any potential damage, power outages. That's all the information they had right now. But again, residents out here just wondering if or when they will be able to return home. And again, for any residents here in this area wondering what's going on, building inspectors, they are inspecting, making sure these homes are safe to enter. As of right now, they are currently not. And again, a homeless outreach team is here to make sure everyone has a safe place to go. Mary, we'll send it back to you in the newsroom.
Hey, Natalie, I don't want to put you on the spot. Are you saying these buildings are touching? Are they now touching, or are they just leaning?
So they are touching, but again, because we're going to pan back over to them, because we did not previously see what they looked like. You can see all of these properties are very close together. So if we actually go to the house to the right of 313, I'm going to get Al to just zoom to the right where there is a decent amount of space. We don't know exactly how much room was previously between these buildings. So did it just sort of lean slightly to the left? But if you look up, you can see a little bit of damage there at the rooftop. So it appears
like
to have, shifted. But again, I don't want to say anything beyond what city workers and officials are confirming to us here.
All right, Natalie.
So that's
thank you
what we are
so
seeing
much.
here at the moment.
Yeah, as we are taking a look at that
Mary and John.
area. Cordoned off in Newark, and all of those residents evacuated at this time. If you're just joining us, this is a recap of what we know. A 4.8 magnitude earthquake hit the Northeast just before 10:30 this morning. The U.S. Geological Survey says the epicenter is in Reddington, New Jersey. That's about 4 miles north of White House Station. There are some reports of damage. Right now, we have not heard of any injuries.
Governor Murphy says the New Jersey State Emergency Center has been activated to respond. NJ Transit says they are inspecting all tracks, and the MTA is checking the integrity of subway stations. All bridges and tunnels in the area are also being checked as a precaution.
Now, Jana Lieber, head of the MTA, says the bridges are designed to withstand even greater shocks than this. Earlier, one portion of the Holland Tunnel was closed for checks, but that was reopened. That was at 11:30 a.m. Air trains at Newark and JFK also suspended until full inspections take place. The NYPD says right now there are no reports of property damage citywide. We were seeing that in Newark, which is a different story. Now, there's also the possibility of aftershocks. Mayor Adams says to take cover if you experience one. If you're driving, pull over. The White House press secretary says President Biden has been briefed on the earthquake and is in touch with state and local officials.
Governor Hochul says this is one of the largest earthquakes to occur on the East Coast in the past century. We double-checked. She's right. It was widespread. The USGS says shaking was felt from Maine all the way to Washington, D.C.
When you think about that stretch, millions of us felt it, that vibration. We both felt it as well. And some people really felt it even more strongly.
Closer to it. You saw that one house, stuff flying off the wall, and the dogs are all going crazy.
Yeah, we saw video from the coffee shop of people going, what is going on? So many...
With regard to the earthquake, I spoke to the governor. He thinks everything's under control. He's not too concerned about it. The governor of New Jersey, so things are all right.
Israel! Military aid to Israel, Mr. President.
Pardon me?
Did you threaten to stop military aid to Israel?
I asked them to do what they're doing.
You need the power to release the hostages. Are you abandoning Israel? What do you stop, man? Are you abandoning Israel?
So I believe when asked, did you stop aid? Did you ask them to stop aid to Israel? He said they're doing what I asked them to do. And on the earthquake, he said he spoke to the governor of New Jersey and everything's under control, John.
Not quite sure what he said when he got further away from the cameras, though, when he was asked if he was going to suspend aid to Israel. I mean, he seemed to suggest no. What are you talking about? But we'll try to listen a little more closely to that and get you some subtitles on exactly what he said.
Indeed. All right, that happened a short time ago, and now he's on the ground in Maryland.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
New York City just experienced a magnitude 4.8 earthquake. This is the video of the moment the quake hit while Lauren and I were on the air with a 4-star retired general. If you look carefully, you can see the desk shaking just a little, and the camera was definitely shaking, and we were talking to a 4-star retired general. I mean, I thought a bomb had gone off. CB Cotton is with us now. CB, do we know if there's any damage caused by this quake?
Hi, Stu. Good morning. And that moment of you on air during this earthquake was just remarkable. And in good, proper British fashion, you stayed so unfazed. I was very, very impressed because people down here in our newsroom, I'm told, were looking at each other in shock and disbelief that an earthquake had just happened. I was told it was 20 to 30 seconds of really steady shaking right here in the newsroom. The good news, Stu, is that right now, this is from the mayor's office, they say their preliminary assessment shows no signs of major damage, but they are still assessing the aftermath of this earthquake. I can tell you it's starting to look like there may be some traffic impacts. Of course, this was felt across the Northeast. Right now, we are hearing, no major traffic impacts here in the city, but we are told, let me look to my producer right now. Where did we just hear those impacts? New Jersey Transit is saying there are delays of up to 20 minutes in both directions due to bridge inspections following the earthquake. Again, felt across the Northeast here in the New York City all the way to Connecticut, to Boston, to Maine. I've got some context from somebody who lives in Connecticut who said their friend described his computer monitor shaking and books and the bookcase falling over. And then I talked with some people who live over in Brooklyn in New York City. One person telling me his building was shaking for 20 seconds, and he was worried that the scaffolding in front of his building was going to come down. And then also, people where I live in Midtown East, they say this was so strong they thought a huge truck had slammed into the building because there was just this persistent shaking for about 20 to 30 seconds. But again, Stu, right now it seems like the good news is that there are no damage reports coming in at this hour. But of course, we know with Mother Nature, things can change so very quickly. It seems like right now the big story coming out of this could be some of those initial traffic impacts, which we are closely monitoring. Like I mentioned, none here in New York City, but outside the city, we're starting to see some of those traffic impacts. And again, just continue to monitor the reports coming out on social media. People just in shock of what's taken place this morning. And again, my hat's off to you for remaining so calm on air while this happened. Did you know what was going on?
We tried to figure it out, CB. We really did. We felt the shaking, and I could hear a sort of rattling noise. And at first I thought it was construction, but then it dawned on me, this is probably an earthquake. At that point, well, we were talking with a 4-star retired general, so he kind of bailed us out of our anxiety. So there you go. CB, great report. I know you're going to stay on it. I'd love to hear if there's anything else comes out of this. Thank you very much, CB.
Absolutely. Thanks, Stu.
You got it.